Parshiyos Nitzavim Vayelech Tovshin Pei Daled. The last one of our shiurim for this year that we're going to be saying Tovshin Pei Daled. We're all looking forward to a very beautiful year, Tovshin Pei Hey Mir Hashem, full of simchas and good news for Klal Yisrael. And it's the last Shabbos of the year, which is a very choshev Shabbos. But besides that, I would be remiss if I didn't mention another special thing that's going on tonight. Tonight is the yahrzeit of the Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim, who most famously wrote his Sforim. I also have his name. Yes, thank you very much. But most famously wrote his Sforim on Shmiras Haloshain. If anybody wants to know what you can do as a schus for the Chafetz Chaim besides learning and doing a chesed, Chafetz Chaim of course wrote Avas Chesed also, but of course it would be a tremendous schus, especially also before Rosh HaShanah, everybody to be a little more conscious of the things that they say, the things that they listen to, how they treat and how they deal with other people, to stay as far as you can from achloikis, lashon hara, rechilus, and that, aside from being a schus for yourself, it would be a collective schus for the entire Klal Yisrael. So the Shatakabi, the Neshama of the Chafetz Chaim should have an aliyah, and it should be a schus, and it should be a melitz yosher for every one of us. And we have now, besides the two parshiyos for this week, we have a very big week coming up because we have Rosh HaShanah in a couple of days. We're going to try to mix a lesson of the Nesivos Shalom that covers the parshiyos and the inyan of Rosh Hashanah. And we're now, as we mentioned, just before the last Shabbos of this year. We've spoken so much about the power of every single Shabbos. Yes, this Shabbos is special. It has a very special meaning and a very special feeling. But those of you who have been in our Nesivos Shalom shir for any amount of time know how the Nesivos Shalom talks so much about Shabbos and what every person could accomplish on every Shabbos, what the day of Shabbos can do for every person on any Shabbos of the year. So for this year, it's really our last chance to take full advantage of this amazing day, of this auspicious day that comes around once a week, and sometimes we neglect to understand its chashivas, but this is our last chance for this year to take advantage of the Shabbos Kodesh. And even though we know that, of course, every person, any person is able to do tshuva at any time, any day of the week, Hashem is always there to accept the tshuva, but the Chidah tells us that tshuva together with Shabbos has a very unique and very special shleimus. There is something whole and wholesome about tshuva that is done with Shabbos. And really, we ask for tshuva. If you take a look, we see that there's different madregas of tshuva, because we ask in the Shemona Esrei during the week 3 times a day. In the bracha of Hashivenu Avinu L'Sarasecha, the bracha ends, Horoitzeh B'Shuvah, that's a bracha about tshuva. And we see that the Nusach HaTfilah says something very interesting. V'hachzirenu b'shuvah shleima lefanecha. Doesn't say that we should just come back and do tshuva. We're asking for something unique. V'hachzirenu b'shuvah shleima. We want a whole tshuva, a tshuva that's complete. So what we do see from here is that there are different levels of tshuva. There are certain times and certain types of tshuva that are a bit more, on a bit higher madrega. They have more shleimus than other levels of tshuva. It's more complete than other levels of tshuva. Different madregos of tshuva. And the Rambam speaks about different levels of tshuva. Also, if you go through the Rambam and Hilchos Tshuva, he speaks about different levels of tshuva. You look at the Gemara Masechta Yuma, Daf Pei Vav Amud Beis, speaks about also different levels of tshuva, and then there it's actually speaking from a different direction, as the Gemara there tells us that the best tshuva, we know the best tshuva is someone who is in the exact same place as he was when he once did an Aveira. He's under the same circumstances, he's facing the same challenge, and you resist the temptation. That is a higher level of tshuva than if a person doesn't face the same challenge and does not do the Aveira. If you're faced with the same temptation, the same matzav, the same place, and you resist, that is a higher level of tshuva. But what we need to know is that those are just, all these things that we mention are just the highest levels of tshuva. And not everyone can reach that level of tshuva all the time. Every person is on their own level, at their own pace, in their own environment, and not everybody can reach those highest levels of tshuva. So while we are speaking now, maybe by the Shabbos Kodesh, about the highest level of tshuva that the Rambam says and the Gemara says, do not be discouraged. Understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a roitzeh b'tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants everyone's tshuva, whatever level you're on. But we are just speaking about what a person should maybe strive for, to see and raise your level of tshuva until it is possible for you maybe to get that level. And the Nesivos Shalom tells us straight out that any level of tshuva, any level, helps every person, and it makes you, yes, every person, no matter how you do tshuva, no matter where you're holding right now, makes every person into a Baal tshuva. But for our point, what we're speaking about here, something that we're reaching for, and for this Shabbos that we're coming up to right now, tshuva that's done on Shabbos has a certain shleimus that one cannot have during the week, because it has the milah of being tshuva me'ava, says the Nesivos Shalom. We know that Shabbos Kodesh is a day full of love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu for every Yid, especially every Yid that keeps Shabbos. It's a day of ahava, and tshuva me'ava is the highest level of tshuva. And really, tshuva me'ava, the Chazal tell us that it uproots the Aveira from its roots. Sometimes if you think we want to say a metaphor for what tshuva is, so we could think of tshuva as being washed away. We could think of tshuva as being erased. You have an eraser, you erase what it was. And it's a phenomenal thing in general to think that Hashem put a chesed into this world that you could rewind. You could go back and start the story and start the song and start anything over again. Today, technologically, we understand that. But Hashem put this into the universe 5,700, almost 85 years ago. Hashem put it in there where we're able to go back and erase something that was actually done. But tshuva me'ava, the tshuva that's done on Shabbos, says in the Nesivos Shalom, it uproots the Aveira from the roots. It takes it out completely. And the Nesivos Shalom brings the Divrei Shmuel, Zchus HaYagan Aleinu, and he says something very interesting. He says there are times, and this is something that's very kedai, and that's why we're saying don't miss the opportunity of this Shabbos. He says there are times that a person has to do tshuva for doing something wrong. But you need to do even more than that, says Divrei Shmuel. A person's going to have to answer for doing, you have to do tshuva for not doing the right tshuva, for not doing what you're capable of. And right now I'm giving you the advice, I'm giving you the tools of the way we're supposed to do tshuva on this Shabbos. The way we're supposed to, when we do tshuva on Shabbos, Shabbos can go back. Every person needs to do what they are capable of. So not only is a person going to have to answer for things that they have done and things that they did in their life, but a person has to answer if you're not living up to your level. If you're not doing tshuva on your level, doing something that you are actually capable of doing. The basic understanding, though, of course, that doing tshuva for something wrong to Hashem is the first thing we have to come to. It's not just like saying, I'm sorry to your friend. It's not just like apologizing to your friend. You have to understand it's a much more serious matter. We have to see who we are doing something wrong. Kaviyachol, we're doing something wrong, going against the will of Hashem. And as much as Hashem accepts us in so many different ways, everyone's different. Everyone has their challenges, and we've spoken about it so many times over here, to say how when people judge each other and look at each other, it's so silly, because nobody understands, nobody could be in someone else's shoes, nobody knows someone else's challenges, and basically, practically, people, if they began only worrying about themselves and the things that they have to rectify and they have to work on, they wouldn't have time to think about other people. Somehow, yet people make a lot of time, and they make enough time to worry about everybody else, and to give everyone else advice, and to give everyone else musar, and then it goes by, and Rosh Hashanah goes by, and Aseret Yemei Tshuva and Yom Kippur, and they didn't get a chance to think about themselves. But what we want to do this Shabbos is get to that special level of Tshuva Shalema, and getting back to our original point. There's a special segula for tshuva on this Shabbos, aside from the fact that we're going to read in the parsha, the pasuk says, "V'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha." And if you notice something interesting about that word, "V'shavta," pasuk pshat means what? It means to come back, to return to Hashem. But "V'shavta" has the oisios of Shin, Beis, Saf, which is of course Shabbos, but it also stands for Rashi Tevis, Shabbos Boy Toshuv. That on Shabbos, that is the day, especially this Shabbos, to return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where we can reach higher madregas, we can reach tshuva the way it should be. So now, we're at the last Shabbos of the year. And Chazal tell us, Yom Echad B'Shana, Chashuv Shana. Every day, the last day of the year, a person could do tshuva for the whole year. But it's even more than that. Every day of the week you can do tshuva for everything that was done on that day of the week a whole year. You know, tonight it's Thursday night, it's Erev Shabbos. So if on Erev Shabbos the rest of the year you were rushing, you didn't come to a Shabbos the way you should, you didn't help prepare for Shabbos, you didn't clean your room for Shabbos, cleaning your room is not just for you and your mommy. Cleaning your room is Kavod Shabbos. How would you prepare a palace? How would you prepare a room where a king or a queen was coming for Shabbos? So you're doing things that are on a lot higher level than the practical, than the things you're actually doing with your hands. But if you didn't do that, and did you get to shul maybe a few minutes before davening, sit down, say hoidu maybe before mincha, say karbanas, whatever it is, but you have the opportunity tomorrow, or tonight, starting tonight, Erev Shabbos, to make up for all the other Arvei Shabbos of this whole year. And then, of course, we come to the Shabbos Kodesh. We come to this Shabbos where we're capable of fixing all the Shabbos of the entire year. And that means the way we sit at the Shabbos table, the way we daven, the way we come to davening. Do you greet your friends with a smile when they're coming out of shul, or do you just give them like two ends of your fingers, like Shabbos, you know what I mean? You give everybody the Sefer Panim Yafos, you give people simcha, you make people happy, and on this last Shabbos, we have a chance to go back and write over all the other Shabbos of the year. Let's take advantage of this opportunity. We're coming now, the last few days of the year. After that, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of Rosh Hashanah. We want to wish everybody that it should be taka, everyone should have Aksiva V'Chasima Toiva, for you, your entire families, the entire Klal Yisrael, and it should taka. It was a tough year. Hashem has his cheshbonos, but we know, we call it what it is. It was a very, very tough year. Klal Yisrael faced things that we never thought. Listen, what's going on in the Middle East, in the UN, Mashiach is here. The wheels are turning so fast we don't even know what's happening. Let's take these last few days from Bikur Chayim of Lakewood, the people who are here. We are going to make a difference. We're going to make a difference, and Shataka be a year, a Shnas Geula for every one of you and for the entire Klal Yisrael.